that I do. Please guide me in every way, each night and day, wherever place I may go. Please give me wisdom to know your love is in every heart. You fill each part. You're the light of the soul, the light of the soul. You're the love of all loves, the light of all lights, nearer than the nearest, dearer than the dearest. We are all your children, whether near or far. Help us always to remember just who we are, just who we are. We are your sons and daughters, sisters and brothers all. This gift of life you have given to us, one and all, both great and small. You are the love of all loves, the light of all lights, nearer than the nearest, dearer than the dearest, the fountain of bliss, the abode of grace. Fill us all up with joy by the side of your face. Through my every thought and all the words that I say, and everything that I do, please guide me in every way, each night and day, wherever place I may go. Please give me wisdom to know your love is in every heart. You fill each part. You're the light of the soul, the light of the soul. You're the love of all loves, the light of all lights, nearer than the nearest, dearer than the dearest.
Well, Jant, you just stole my topic there in much more beautiful and succinct way than this is going to be. Good morning. Namo Devyai Mahadevyai Shivayai Satatam Namaha Nama Prakrityai Badrayai Niyata Pranatasmatam. Salutations to the Devi, to the Divine Mother of the Universe. Salutations always to her who is auspicious. Salutations to her who is the primordial cause, to her who is gracious. With mind's intent, we bow down to her. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us all. You know, I was thinking that you must all think that we've got a problem with our lecture schedule here because we seem to be stuck on repeat. It's like, I'm dating myself here, but in my day, we had LPs and 45s and phonograph machines, and what happened is you would get a scratch in it, and it would like, da-da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. It would keep going on and until you picked up the needle and moved it. And that seems to be what our lecture schedule is like recently, because there's a whole lot of talks about the Divine Mother, one form or another. And we've got a really good excuse for it, because that's what it is this time of year. We're in the fall season where we worship Mother Durga, the goddess Durga. And tomorrow we will have Kali Puja in Hollywood, beginning at 10 p.m., going till about 3 or 4 a.m. It's only for the strong in spirit and awake at night. And later in December, we'll be celebrating the Divine Mother in her form as Sri Sarda Devi, the sweetest aspect. So yeah, there's a good reason for being stuck on repeat, because we are right in the thick of that very powerful and very holy season of the Divine Mother. So to someone in the Abrahamic traditions, and by that I mean Judaism, Christianity, Islam, to talk about God as she or God as her seems either like a joke or heresy, or a combination thereof, because to them it's completely incomprehensible. But in the Hindu tradition sees that the infinite divine reality has infinite divine manifestations. You can't really stop divinity from manifesting in a certain way. And one of the most powerful and potent and truly useful, helpful ways of relating to this infinite divine reality is through the aspect of God as the Divine Mother. It's very helpful for us to think of the divine in that way. Okay, we all begin in the same place, right? We all begin there as lumps in the tummy. We all begin in our mother's wombs. We're there, we're nestled, we're safe, we are protected. We don't feel heat, we don't feel cold, we don't have anxiety, and we just suck our thumbs, and everything is great until plop! We're out in that cold, cruel world, and we're out of our safe and happy place. But the mother takes us and picks us up. She holds us close to her heart. She feeds us, she nurtures us, she protects us at the risk of her life 1 billion trillion times, and she's there for us in all of our wants and our needs and all of our cries. When we cry, she comes running. So that umbilical cord may have been cut by the doctor, but really, never really goes away. That umbilical cord is still there, searching right along. I find it fascinating in sort of a terrible way that when people are in real severe distress, if they're dying, if they're in horrific pain, if they are absolutely, completely terrified to the point of death, they cry for their mothers. They can be 90 years old. Their mothers might have been dead for 100 years, and they still cry for their mothers. And I don't think it's just a primal human reaction, and I don't think it's some sort of a psychosocial weirdness. I think it's a basic spiritual instinct. I think it's this spiritual cord that's coursing through our lives from birth to death and beyond. This primal need and reaching out for mother. She is the cord that weaves herself through all of our lives. She is the root of our existence. Even when we're not aware of it, and most of the time we're just not. But when we do become aware of it, our life changes, and it really does change for the better. 10 years ago, I was in Ankara, Turkey, and I was absolutely blown away when I went to this great museum in Ankara, and there I saw a statue about that big from 6,000 BCE, which means like over 8,000 years ago, of a mother goddess. It's like a mother, I'm talking mother goddess. It was like beautiful, beautiful, and I thought, over 8,000 years ago, and here we are in Ankara, Turkey. So this goddess even more strange, it was seated on, they can't tell whether it's either a leopard or a lion. And that was even weirder because the goddess Durga is always seated either on a tiger or a lion. It's like, what is she, where? And here we are 8,000 years later, we're still worshiping the Divine Mother of the universe. 8,000 years later. And we're still seeking her wisdom in this absolutely crazy world. People have been seeking her wisdom for at least 8,000 or 9,000 years, probably long before that. When we seek wisdom from the Divine Mother, it really helps us make peace with our own minds, because the world out there will never do that. It will never give us peace. It will never give us tranquility. It will never help us live with this universe that we have here. But the Divine Mother, in seeking her wisdom, does do that. The world is not here to help us figure it out. There is an ancient hymn in the Rig Veda. The Rig Veda is probably the oldest of all the scriptures in the world. It says, the scholars say perhaps from 1500 BCE, but that's really hard to assess because the scriptures there were never written down. It was all oral transmission. So how do you assess what the particular date is? My suspicion is it was much earlier than that. And there is a hymn in this Rig Veda given by the female sage Vak Ambrini, which is absolutely magnificent. I'm going to read a few excerpts from it. Now, when she gives this hymn, she kind of proclaims herself. When she says I, she's not speaking of the human ego. She's like letting this infinite divine reality of the feminine just kind of pour through her like the Niagara Falls. I mean, it's just like unbelievable. So again, it's not the ego speaking, it's the infinite divine being pouring out through her. She says, I am the sovereign of the universe. I am the mother goddess who creates, sustains, and protects, and then destroys this universe. One who eats food eats through me. One who sees, who breathes, who hears what is spoken, does so through me. I have pervaded the heaven and the sky. I generate the sky. My source is in the waters, in the inner ocean. I spread among all living creatures alongside the all-pervading, and I touch the sky. I breathe forth like the wind while holding together all living creatures. So vast have I become that I am beyond the heaven and this earth. This kind of took my breath away. It's like, what? This unbelievably powerful female sage who has this kind of washing through her like this. She is the being, this divine reality speaking through her is the embodiment of absolute pure consciousness, and she is the source of all power, the source of all creation, all sustentation, and all destruction, going right through her. She is Shakti, the supreme power of Brahman. And that's what we're talking about all this season when we're on repeat, talking about the Divine Mother, Divine Mother. That's what it's all about. Since time immemorial, human beings have worshiped the Divine Mother of the universe. And somehow people try to put her behind the curtain, but you know, you can't hide a fire by throwing a paper towel over it. It will just, and that keeps happening with the Divine Mother of the universe. She always shows herself, she reveals herself. A few weeks ago, I saw an article in Popular Mechanics. And I know all of you, just like me, start the morning with Popular Mechanics with your morning cup of coffee because it makes such a great read as you're, avoiding everything else, right? So there, in Popular Mechanics, I discovered what they discovered, which was like something that they had run into, which was not supposed to be, which was an ancient Phrygian sacred site of the worship of the Divine Mother in a place in Turkey close to where it is to Greece and Rome. Because these Phrygian sites were a mother-worshiping group that existed about 3000 BCE. And yes, and they worship the goddess Matar, M-A-T-A-R, Matar. Yeah. Now, she was the mother of the gods, Matar. She's also the goddess of nature, of fertility, of mountains, of greatness, Matar. Well, it's like, Latin is mater, as in Mater Dei, mother of the gods, mother of God. Mother in English, Mutter in German, all have that same root, mother. Mother with a capital M, mother. So they discovered that there were many rites associated with worship of Matar, and among them were like offerings, food offerings. They had processions. I thought, wow, that sounds a lot like our pujas, where we have offerings of food and flowers and stuff like that. Now in the U.S., we don't do the processions, but believe me, in India, it's all about the processions. Processions where, they'll go around. And I was stopped once in our center at Haridwar, and a young monk asked me, he said, so, tell me about your processions in Santa Barbara. And I said, we actually don't do processions. It's like, why? Americans just don't really do. I didn't want to get to him about our other kind of processions, it's much too complicated. I said, no, we have like lectures where we behave ourselves. Yeah, no, that's what we do. So, now, I was just amazed to read about this in Popular Mechanics, because how come we find out about these things in either Popular Mechanics or the Vedanta Temple? And where's the in-between place, right? Where's the popular readership? It's kind of what I'm talking about. It's like they try to erase it, but Mother just will not be put down. She'll show up in Popular Mechanics of all places. Right? So the Divine Mother is basic to who we are. That's who we are as human beings. She can't be shut down. She can't be erased, because she is the power behind everything we think and everything we do. She is the power behind everything. Now, we just celebrated Durga Puja, the Divine Mother, it was 3 weeks ago, who destroys evil. That's her role. Now, the story goes, and this comes from the Chandi, otherwise known as the Devi Mahatmya. Story goes that the gods in heaven and the people on earth were being overrun by the demons, what they call asuras in Sanskrit. They were being overrun by the evil asuras, and the gods had fought for 1,000 years, and they were losing. And the people were just being eaten alive, and the cows and everybody else was just it was not a good scene. So the gods were beside themselves, and so they all got together and said, okay, we're not doing it right. So they all got together and formed a circle, and out of them formed a brilliant light, and from that light emerged the goddess Durga. Like Mama Bear goes into action. So she formed this absolutely gorgeous form with many arms, and always rides a lion or a tiger. So what's with the demons? It's like, okay, well, she had to fight the demons. It's like, demons? What do you mean demons? Well, we all have demons. They're either outside ourselves, or the ones we got to worry about, or the ones inside of ourselves. Now, whether they're inside or outside, they all give us grief because they make us feel smaller than who we really are. They give us grief. And these demons, the inside ones, we can all pick our outside ones. We all have our favorites. I'm not a favor of four-way stops, but we all have our thing. Whether they're inside or outside, they give us misery. Now, the demons that are inside are ones we're way too familiar with. Well, pride, anger, arrogance, egotism, lust, deceitfulness, greed, meanness, selfishness. I mean, we could just keep adding to this list for a long time. Self-centeredness, rage, but we're all familiar with them. We all know them. Unfortunately, we all know them really well. And we all have these demons, so what we knew, and none of us are really happy when we have them. We're aware of them, but we're not happy about it. They just seem to take over the digestive tract, and they just kind of move in. So what we need is a power to help us conquer them. So Durga, her name literally means destroyer of affliction. So she is here to help us kill our demons. And because, that's who she is, and we think, great, well, easy for you, Mother Durga. You have 8 arms, and you've got all these weapons, and what to speak, you're riding on a lion or a tiger. Easy for you to talk. But me, I got to deal with this, and I got to deal with that, and I've got to deal with that, and it is completely overwhelming, and thank you for your existence killing those demons, but I got to deal with life as it is. And we feel absolutely overwhelmed by what we think we have to deal with. Especially now, right? Everything genuinely seems overwhelming and disturbing. There's no easy solutions, there's no easy answers, just a whole lot of problems and a whole lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear. And that's what we seem to be dealing with now, especially now. And that's when we can invoke Mother Durga. We need to bring our challenges and our fears and our issues to the Divine Mother of the universe, who's actually a being that can make things better for us. The Chandi says, that's the Devi Mahatmyam, when we remember you when we are in times of distress, you remove fear from every person. When we invoke you and remember you in times in happiness, you give us a mind with even greater serenity. Now, isn't that really what we'd like? If we could have our fears removed, wouldn't it be a lot happier? Wouldn't we like to have a mind that's even more serene than what we have now? Now, the Divine Mother is not going to create a perfect world. That's not her job. It will never happen. It's not her plan of action, ever. She's not going to create a perfect world. The world isn't created to make everybody la, 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 la. Then you would never seek the Divine Mother because we'd be rolled around in this ocean of enjoyment. No, not her point. She will not create a perfect world, but she can create a perfect us. Remember the Bible? Be ye perfect even as your Father in heaven is perfect. And we go, oh, come on. I don't think there's any comparison going on there. But Vedanta says all power, all purity, all perfection is already within us. That is who we really are. We have all power, purity, perfection within our hearts. We just can't access it. Really? Well, okay. Well, why can't we? Because we look for perfection and happiness and joy and power and solutions out there instead of in here. That's why, because we don't look for it in the right place. The Chandi says, O Queen of all, you exist in the form of all and possess every might. Save us from all fears, O Devi. We bow to you. A good portion of our fears come from the affliction of us thinking that we can change the world. Or we can and should change somebody else. Or change something else. When in fact, we can't even fix ourselves. The hubris is just astonishing, and we all do it. It's a 100% human foible. Instead of we look out there, instead of looking in here, what needs being fixing inside of ourselves. Swami Vivekananda wrote in a letter to J.J. Goodwin, that's one of my absolutely favorite quotes, and he said, we Vedantists, in every difficulty, ought to ask ourselves the subjective question, why do I see this? Why can I not conquer this with love? That's a valid point, right? Why can I not conquer this with love? Well, I think we find that so very hard because our desire and the easy way out is to demonize, and I use that word seriously, we demonize those outside of ourselves who don't fit into our idea about what they should be doing, what they should be thinking, how they should be acting and behaving, what they should be believing. what their goals in life ought to be. We want to interfere with everything out there instead of like dealing with what's in here. It's a lot easier to see it out there than the really painful process of really looking out what's going in here. And the thing is, if we can change the universe in here, it will change our vision of what is out there. It all goes together. We all put a veil over our face and say, why is that going on? Well, maybe if we remove the veil, we'd see things a little bit more clearly. Well, and that brings me to the goddess Kali, whom we're going to worship tomorrow at 10 p.m. tomorrow, Hollywood. So Kali is the form of the Divine Mother. That is, well, at least when we look at her outwardly, she's beautiful, loving, motherly, and terrifying. She's completely terrifying. She is loving and she is fierce. She's naked. She's black. She has her tongue out. She stands on her husband Shiva's chest, and their eyes are interlocked. Very powerful. She has a garland of skulls around her neck. Nice. And a garland of severed human arms around her waist, kind of like a hula skirt. With her two right arms, with one arm she does the Abhaya Mudra, giving you fearlessness. Good. The other one, and the Varada Mudra, giving you blessings, giving you boons. Okay, the left arms, different picture. One holds a severed, dripping blood human head. That's ours. That's us. We can all take our picture out and hold it there. Put it right over that. And the sword is, I'm going to quote the Chandi, smeared with the mire-like blood and fat of demons. Okay, that's graphic. That's Kali. When Swami Swahananda was invited, probably 20 years ago, maybe more, to speak at UCSB because they were having a seminar on the Divine Mother from different aspects. And this young student got up, with questions and answers, got up, and she said, Swami, how can you worship a goddess like that? How can you call her mother? How can you worship a goddess like that? And he said, do you want a namby-pamby mother, or do you want someone to protect you? And she went, oh, question answered. But it's true. I mean, what's the good of having a mother unless your mama's a mama bear that's going to protect you? You want that mother of yours to be able to stand and stop that truck from running you down. You want a mother who's going to stop someone from coming in and trying to take your hand away from you, trying to feed you candy you shouldn't be eating. I'm going to kill you. Okay. That's the kind of mama we all need. We need a mama bear mama. And that's what Mother Kali is. So what's with the blood and the severed parts? Well, that severed human head, again, is our ego. As I said, it's us, all of us. We can take our picture, cut it out, and we can put it in the little thing. There's that. Well, our ego is the biggest spiritual detriment that we have. Not only spiritual, it's actually our big psychological detriment too. You know, if we want to be happy, try to keep the ego down, because we can't even actually see other people if ours is standing in the way too much. We can't really relate to people if our ego is too much. And it doesn't mean just being like, rah. You can have the ego that's not a healthy ego, which is like, I'm nothing, I'm worthless, go and walk all over me. That's an unhealthy ego. Both the bloated kind and the subservient walk all over me kind are very unhealthy. We have to know who we are and then try to dampen it down. But the problem is, no one likes their ego being touched. We can all see everybody else's ego, but we're not really capable of or want to see a... Nobody likes their ego, not even my dog. What to speak of cats? No one's going to talk about cats' egos. They have their pride. They do. The ego is our biggest problem. And it's very easy for us to see other people's egos. We can enumerate their failings, and we can enumerate their spiritual weaknesses, but we don't see our own. But if we're serious about our spiritual life, and even if we want to be slightly happy human beings, we really have to tame that sucker. We can't get rid of it altogether, as Sri Ramakrishna said. He said, you can't get rid of the ego altogether, but make that rascal a servant of the Divine Mother. That's how we do it. We always want to protect it, but it's to our detriment. Now that sword that's smeared with the mire-like blood and fat of the demons, yep, that guy, that is the sword that destroys our bonds to this world. It destroys Maya. It destroys our delusion. Well, the problem is we like our delusion. We like our Maya. We like our little loves and our little hates. We love our opinions. We think that makes us who we are. I like this, and I don't like that. And I like this person, and I believe in this, and I don't believe in that. And we put these all together, our loves and our hates and our aggressions and our sympathies, and we package that up and then say, well, that's what makes me an individual. That's what makes me who I am. Don't take that away from me. I'll be nothing. But all that package of Maya, our likes and dislikes, our aversions and our attachments, just obscure who we are. It prevents us from knowing who we are. We are that infinite divine reality. That infinite divine Atman within our hearts is infinite perfection, joy, happiness, peace. That's here. And every time we add another layer of I am like this and I'm like that, I reject this and I accept this, we add another plank in our coffin of happiness. It obscures who we are. Swami Vivekananda talked about Westerners and their individuality. We love our but it does not make us happy. It separates us from other people. Americans tend to think of the Marlboro Man. Yeah, I'm an individual. I like my freedom. I'm going to go out there by myself and stand in my way. I'm going to kill you because I'm an American. Other societies work communally. They think of the whole and not of one individual. When we work as one individual, everybody loses. When we think of others and include ourselves in that, we all become happier because we all need community. And humans are meant to be our communal beings. And if we pull at that and separate ourselves into those people who are not like me and people who are like me, we narrow our field more and more and more. And we become more isolated and more unhappy. And what's worse, we do not see the divinity in others. We're so busy judging how they ought to be acting and thinking and doing that we neglect to remember that first you see the divinity within them, and then you see what comes later. First, realize that we share that same infinite divine reality. First is what we should see. And what keeps us together is that infinite divine reality manifesting as love, manifesting as kindness, manifesting as generosity and unselfishness. That's who we are. We're not these tiny, puny, little pathetic individuals who puts little markers on ourselves for what you have to do to be part of my clan. What a miserable way to live. If we want to be happy, seek a higher goal in life, rather than all this self-protection stuff. So that blood smeared with the mire like blood and fat of asuras is helping us cut those bonds. That is what Mother Kali is doing. When we cling to the Divine Mother, our life just, instead of hanging on to everything that changes, our life becomes so much better. We tend to hang on to the things that are going to go away. And the more we cling, the more we hang on to things that are changing, that will eventually go away, which is pretty much everything out there except for our Atman and the infinite divine reality. Everything changes. And the harder we hold on to that, the more we will suffer. We have to let go. let go, let go. When we see that the Divine Mother is in charge and we really are not in control, no matter how much we want to be, no matter how much we think we are, then our life gets better. Our life really does get better. Our ego has to let go a notch if we acknowledge that the Divine Mother is in charge. And for every notch that ego goes down, we get that much more peace and happiness. The universe opens up for ourselves, and we stop seeing so many enemies and a lot more friends. The name Kali comes from the Sanskrit word kala, which means time. And time is the destroyer of all things. Everything in time has a beginning and an end, and everything will end. You know, just look in the mirror. It's like, oh, God, when did that happen? Yeah, you can see time has its effect. It spares no one and nothing. And that's where Kali's name is from, the all-destroying time. So whenever we cling to whatever is changing, we will 100% suffer. No question, because we will cling to that which is going to escape our grasp no matter. The harder we hold, the more it's going to hurt. Swami Vivekananda said, always open your hands. Open your hands. Whatever comes in, let it go through, let it go. Because the universe itself will force your hands open, and that is very painful. Allow it to go through, whatever it may be. The Chandi, the Devi Mahatmyam says, O Queen of the universe, you protect the universe. As the self of the universe, you support the universe. You are the goddess worthy to be adored by the Lord of the universe. Those who bow in devotion to you themselves become the refuge of the universe. Those who surrender to the Divine Mother, they themselves become the refuge of the universe. Surrendering to the Divine Mother is really, in my opinion, the only sane option in this crazy world. It's a very crazy world. I think it always has been. It's maybe we just see it a little better now because there's so much coverage of it. But it's always been a crazy world, and the only way to get through it with just even a modicum of sanity is to surrender to the Divine Mother. Now, it may seem like a poor choice with, you know, that the skulls and the severed arms and talk about that sword again, and the head. But the severed head ego has to be conquered, has to be put down, has to be tamed if we're to find any sort of peace in our life. And peace is really the great prize. If we can live inside our heads with peace and tranquility, that's a big take. That is a big take out of life. Not many people on this planet can do that. And those severed arms means that we acknowledge that the Divine Mother is the only one who does an activity. She is the power behind everything that we do, everything that we think. Every movement in life, every gift, every power is her power. It's not us, but her, the Divine Mother. Sri Ramakrishna said, "O Mother, I am the machine, and you are the operator of the machine. I am the house, and you're the indweller of the house. I am the chariot, and you're the charioteer. I do as you make me do. I speak as you make me speak. I move as you make me move. It is not I, it is not I, it is thou, it is thou. Hers is the glory. We are only her instruments." You know, when we get out of the driver's seat, it's so nice to just step back. You know, you're not worried about the other cars, you're not worried about the truck next to you. That's just look at the scenery. Let her drive it. Let her drive it. She's way better than we are. Let her drive that car. Let her drive our life. And we can step back and say, Mother, I know you're holding me. I know you're holding me. I'm not going to sweat this out. You're taking care of it. About that fierce aspect, Sister Nivedita said over 100 years ago, she gave a talk on Kali. It's pretty amazing for a British woman to talk on Kali in Calcutta over 100 years ago, but she was pretty strong. She said, no behavior of truth is so terrible as that of choosing what is beautiful and easy and soft to be believed and worshipped. She didn't mince words. She said, let us face also just as willingly the terrible, the ugly, the hard. Well, I gotta say, it's just not my favorite, but that is what we see. And if we don't see it, then it's like, really? Okay. We don't like the fact that everything in this world comes in what they call, in the Hindu tradition, the pairs of opposites. And it does. For every bit of good we get, there is every bit as much bad. For every joy we experience, there's an equal amount of pain that we will suffer one way or the other. It's like a 50-50 bar, like 50% orange sherbet and 50% vanilla ice cream. They still make those 50-50 bars? Am I dating myself? Yeah. Anyway, or community property in a divorce. It's like 50-50. 50-50. For every joy, there'll be some sorrow around the corner. For every bit of praise we get, equal amount of blame just hiding around the corner there, just waiting to get at you. It happens. Nothing, the weird thing is, like, we kind of expect that which is good, that which is pleasant. We expect the praise. We expect it. It's normal. It's natural. That's the way it should be. And we're outraged when the bad comes. We're just outraged when we face the good. When we get we should expect the good, but we get the bad. When we get the ugly, when we get the harsh, when we get the pain, when we get the suffering, that's wrong. We're absolutely outraged because I'm a good person. I should be getting this. Or that was a good person. Why didn't they get that? Because the universe doesn't work that way. Hello? Never has, never will. We're not exceptions. That's how the universe turns, and the universe isn't asking us for our opinion on this matter. Because we're just short-time visitors. We just come in and out. The universe is just here. But that's the way the universe works. For every bit in this changing world, every bit of joy that is temporary, every bit of suffering that is also temporary. It's all temporary. So don't hold on to that. Hold on to our real nature, which is the Atman, which is the absolute truth of our being, infinite consciousness, infinite joy. That's what we can hold on to. Otherwise known as the Divine Mother. It's the Divine Mother's world, not ours. We're just short-time visitors, and no matter what, no matter how hard, no matter how rough, no matter how painful, the Divine Mother is holding us the entire time. She's holding us in her arms very tenderly through every single thing we go through. We may not be aware of it, but she's there the entire time. I talked about Durga and I talked about Kali, and soon we're going to be celebrating, not soon, in December, we're going to be celebrating the sweetest aspect of the Divine Mother, which is Holy Mother, Sri Sarda Devi. But there's another aspect of the Divine Mother that we have to acknowledge, and that is the formless aspect of the Divine Mother. Sri Ramakrishna often said that God is both form and has both form and is formless. Both are completely true, both are accurate. Really, it depends on your state of consciousness, whether you relate to God as with form or God without form. Now, a visitor once came to see Sri Ramakrishna in Dakshineshwar, and Sri Ramakrishna said, "Oh, have you been to the temple?" And the visitor said, "Oh, yes, I saw the goddess, and yes, she is made by the sculptor Nabin." And Sri Ramakrishna just kind of brushed that off and said, "Yes, I know, but to me, she is the embodiment of spirit." Now, the Bengali says she's Chinmaya. She is the embodiment of consciousness, absolute pure consciousness. Because spirit can mean all sorts of things. She is Chinmaya, Chit, embodiment of consciousness. Even more clearly, Sri Ramakrishna said, that which you call Brahman, I call Kali. Now, Brahman is this infinite divine existence. It's the ground of being, infinite pure consciousness, infinite joy. He said, that what you call Brahman? I call Kali. And when Sri Ramakrishna had his first vision of Kali, it wasn't the black goddess with the long black hair, with all that in her arms, you all know. No, he was enveloped by waves of light. When he had his first vision of the Divine Mother, he said he was swallowed by wave after wave after wave of light. And he felt like he was drowning in this blissful consciousness. And he cried out before he lost consciousness, Mother, Mother, and lost consciousness in a sea of light. That was Kali to him. So I'd like to close with a little story. We began with a lump, and we're going to go back to a lump in the tummy. There's a lump in the tummy that had twins in them, two babies. And one little baby said to the twin, do you think there's life after delivery? And the other twin said, well, of course I do. There has to be something after delivery. Maybe we're here to prepare for what comes afterwards. And the other twin said, that's nuts. There's no life after delivery. What kind of life would that be? And she said, well, I don't know, but maybe we'll get to walk on our legs. And maybe we could be able to eat with our mouths. And maybe we'll have other senses that we don't even understand what they are now. And the other boy, the baby boy probably, who knows, maybe it was a girl, said, that's ridiculous. Walking in with our legs? No, come on. Eating with our mouths? We have an umbilical cord. The umbilical cord does everything. Come on. And the umbilical cord is really short. So logically speaking, no, there's no life after delivery. The other twin said, well, I think there is something. And maybe it's different than here. Maybe we won't need an umbilical cord anymore. And the other baby said, that's absurd. No one has ever come back from there. After delivery, there's nothing but silence and darkness and oblivion. It takes us nowhere. And the other twin said, well, I don't know. But certainly we will be with Mother, and she will take care of us. And the other twin said, Mother? You actually believe in Mother? That's a joke. If there's a mother, where is she now? The other twin said, well, she's all around us. She's everywhere. We're surrounded by her. We are of her. Without her, we couldn't live. Without her, there would be, nothing could live. Without her, nothing could exist. And the other twin said, well, I don't see her. So logically, she does not exist. But the wise twin said, well, sometimes when you're in silence and you focus and you really listen, you can feel her presence around you and you can hear her loving voice calling you. And that's really where we all are, right? That's where we are. If we can still ourselves and quiet our own static electricity, we will be able to feel that presence of the Divine Mother. And we will be able to access that wisdom that is our birthright as human beings. Thank you.
She's got the whole world in her hand. She's got the whole world in her hand. She's got the whole world in her hand. She's got the whole world in her hands. She's got the little bitty baby in her hand. She got the little bitty baby in her hand. She's got the little bitty baby in her hand. She got the whole world in her hands. She's got you and me, brother, in her hand. She got you and me, brother, in her hand. She got you and me, brother, in her hand. She She got the whole world in her hands. She's got you and me, sister, in her hands. She got you and me, sister, in her hands. She got you and me, sister, in her hands. She got the whole world in her hands. She's got everybody here in her hands. She's everybody here in her hands. She's got everybody here in her hands. She's got the whole world in her hands. She's got the whole world in her hands. She 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 got the whole world in her hands.
That could not be more perfect. All right, all right. I've got some announcements. Next Sunday, Swami Mahayogananda, back from India, will speak on divine immersion at 11 a.m. This coming Wednesday at 5 p.m., we will continue with God Live With Them, this one on Swami Vijnanananda, this series on Vijnanananda, wonderful. The book by Swami Chaitananda, read by Pravrajika Vrajaprana. Saturday, 5 p.m., the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna at 5 p.m. Hopefully Swami Chidbrahmananda will be able to do that this week. And Saturday, this coming Saturday, there will be the Kali immersion down at Newport Beach. Saturday, October 25th. You have to have reservations for it. I think it starts very early, like 9:30 in the morning, but more importantly, call Hollywood because you need reservations to get on the boat. Okay, I will close with a chant. Om Sarva Mangala Mangaye Shive Savarta Sarike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostate Shri Stiti Vinashanam Shakti Bhute Sanatani Ganashraye Gunamaye Narayani Namostate Narayani Namostate Narayani Namostate. O you who are the giver of all blessings, O you who are the doer of all good, O you who are the fulfiller of all desires, O you who are the giver of refuge, our salutations to you, our salutations to you, our salutations to you. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.